Hello, and thank you for tuning in. You are tuned in to The Encourager, and my name is Nehru. Hope you're doing well. Today, I just posted the 7-day challenge. I mentioned, I think for the last 2 days, I've been mentioning a challenge that I was going to share on Sunday, and that 7-day challenge is a self love challenge. So if you know that you could do a better job at loving yourself, or how can you do a better job at loving yourself, that video is just posted, and that might be of interest to you. So I've been just really from the beginning, especially given my childhood, and I shared my polygamous childhood, or it wasn't a polygamous childhood. I grew up in a polygamous household or setting, family setting. From the age of 11 to 20 specifically, because I moved with uh, the father uh, and got out of the projects at the age of 11. And um, those of you who know that synchronicities are extremely important. And so for me, again, especially from numerology, and I posted recently a life path video and explaining the 12 life path numbers and uh, and how to calculate your life path number. And again, that might be of interest to someone. But thank you, subscribers. Thank you, newcomers and visitors. Uh, and Proverbs, and again, I don't quote the Bible. At least I certainly don't look up the scripture very often. I don't even have a physical Bible today, because he's doing something new, and it has nothing to do with the book. And I truly believe that. That's what this whole brand new portal that's recently opened up after 11:11, after the 11:11 portal. That's the ascended, the 144, 144,000 rising up. There is a strong spiritual awakening that's happening now globally. That's why the phenomenon, these weather phenomenon, they can't be explained by man. There is something that's really truly happening, and it's been happening since the beginning of time. Like this moment in time has been assured since the very beginning. How many ever millions of years ago, billions of years ago that is, this very moment right here was already written. Okay? And so there is there's a place I know that Most High Divine Yahweh God wants us to get to, where we are not referring to man. Yeah, it's okay to have dialogue, right? So I share my thoughts with you. I encourage you to share your thoughts with me in the comments section. And or you could share that, those things. If you do not want to share that in a public space, you can share those things via email at theencourager333@gmail.com, and I'll certainly be sure to respond. Um, yeah, yeah, I will respond. And so I often speak about children and parents, and because I grew up in such a demonic, evil, karmic situation, and even when I lived with Judy, she suffered from depression in large part due to the sperm donor's nonsense, and his whatever, and then her own demons, whatever she was dealing with. Maybe that spirit of depression, maybe that's something she had to be. She was just birthed with that challenge from another lifetime, and that's what happens. So when we do not take care of something from one lifetime, I mentioned in the previous video, it carries forward to the next to the next video. Yes, to your next life video. It does. It carries to the next life video. It carries on to the next lifetime, and this is why nothing can return to the Father void, because he gives us multiple chances, knowing that man is a F up. Yeah, right? And he knows that, right? That's why he often sends his angels to communicate it with us in the 3D, because the stench alone would, yeah, he wants nothing, he wants none of that. So, yes, but so today I actually want to focus on Proverbs 22:6. And again, I don't normally look up scriptures, but today I was definitely told to specifically look up the scripture so that I can actually read it all instead of just quoting the parts. Right? And so, yes, Proverbs 22:6 says this. And what I'm reading from is from the Amplified Bible. That's the first one that pulled up. I don't go by the versions of the Bible, really, because, again, they've all been manipulated. It's all half-truth, and half of it is man's lies and man's programming and man's manipulation. So, So, it says, train up a child in the way he or she, it doesn't say or she, but yes, in the way that he or she should go, teaching him to seek God's wisdom and will for his abilities and talents, even when he is old, he will not depart from it. So, what I do today, I'm going to be doing till the day I take my last breath. And I know that for a fact. From the very first second, I don't know, that I said I do to ascend, to awaken, to go through the spiritual processes that are necessary to get me to where I am today, forsaking man, forsaking family, forsaking friends, forsaking church, forsaking religion, forsaking anything that no longer serves my good. Once I made that decision, I was committed. There's no turning back, and I'm not doing anything else for the rest of my life on this planet. And thank goodness, again, this is my last lifetime. And I like to say that because I'm cheering for that. I'm happy about that. And yet I'm enjoying my each and every day here. I wake up happy. And so I like the way it's worded in this particular one, because it says more than just train up your child in the way that they should go and they will not depart from you. And when they are old, they will not depart from it. It says more than that. Okay? It says, teach him to seek God's wisdom and will. This is where parents get it messed up. This is where ministers get it mixed up. This is where counselors get it mixed up. I always said my one single argument against counseling is no one knows my purpose, and most do not understand my spiritual being, so they couldn't tell me anything truthfully. In order for someone to properly counsel you, they would need to know who you are spiritually, and that's the truth. That's why I don't agree with going to counseling in most cases, because in order for them to know me, they would have to know I'm a Egyptian shamanic bloodline, so I carry that strength, that anointing, that dedication to Most High. They would need to know that I'm an earth angel. They would need to know that in order for them to properly counsel me. If they don't know that, they can't counsel me. Point blank. Right? Unless they're showing me something or telling me something that is just of the 3D. So for instance, if they're telling me how to change a battery in a car, that's a physical thing. They don't need to know who I am spiritually in order to show me that. But when it comes to guiding my life or providing advice for my life, they need to know exactly who I am. Because if they don't understand that, they are not going to have the full picture and cannot provide you accurate counsel. Facts. Facts. Spiritual facts. They cannot. They cannot. How many of us go to counselors for years dealing with the same issue? Or it's a reoccurring issue. I guarantee you, whatever issues I had in low vibration energy, I will never have those issues again, ever. And I didn't get counseling from anyone other than Most High and my angels. No man counseled me, because no man knows what the fuck my purpose is. I've asked the pastor that I was a part of that for 20 years. I asked him in Sanford, or minister, right? The senior minister there. I asked him when I got there. His name is Steve. I asked him, Steve, can you help me figure out what my purpose is? He was like, no, I can't tell you that because I don't know your purpose. And he wasn't lying, because it's not for anybody to know your purpose. It's for you to know your purpose. No one else should be able to tell you where you need to go, because you have free will. He, Most High, presents opportunity to us. He says, here's A and here's B. I prefer you pick this one. However, you can choose to go whichever way you want. Yeshua did not have to stay on the cross. He could have gotten down. He could have refused to get on the cross. He could have said, I'm not going at all. And I'm just going to stay here in the heavenlies with you, the angels, and continue to intercede or whatever he does on our behalf, right? Or whatever he was doing prior to descending to earth. Okay? He even had a free will, but he said, not my will, Father, but your will be done. Okay? So, in training up our children in the way that they should go, this doesn't look like having them in church every week, 5 and 6 days a week, because that's actually going to kill them. That's actually, and I do mean that. I do mean that. I do. Okay? Because if you are spiritually dead, you are physically dead. You're just a zombie. You're just a zombie. There are millions, billions of them walking around. You see them every day. You argue with them, fight with them, flick them off in traffic, whatever. They're everywhere. Right? So we elect these people to office. We put these people in charge of multi-billion-dollar operations. Right? But they're low-vibration people. Right? We expect them to run a country, but they're low vibration. They lie, cheat, steal, kill, destroy. Right? They manipulated themselves into office, but yet we elect them. Why is that? Why do we do that? Okay? We should not be electing low vibration men and women to guide the country that we live in and that we pay taxes in and that we trust to protect us. We should not be electing low vibration men and women to run our country and create any type of legal structure. We should not be. If I ever need an attorney, I'm going to ask that attorney some questions that has nothing to do with law. I'm like, do you know yourself? Do you know who you are? Because if you don't, you can't represent me. Because I'm not having some low vibration ass attorney represent me for anything. I don't care if it's small claims court for $200. You can't represent me, buddy. You want to represent me? I need an intuitive attorney, an intuitive judge. Thank you very much. Right? I need intuitive counsel. Okay? So training up our child in the way that they should, children in the way that they should go. I mentioned the other day about children with autism and children with ADHD or any other quote-unquote man-labeled illness or learning disability or learning challenge or whatever they want to call it, and they want to give you a pill for it. The very last thing we should be doing to correct something that we're born with is putting something in our bodies that's manufactured in order to correct it. Dropping bombs. You cannot correct something spiritual with a pill. Not a physical pill. You can't do it. You can't do it. So if your child was born ADHD, or at least that's what they were classified as, I'll never believe that, no matter who the child is. I don't care. If they were born with autism, or if they were born, right? If they were born with these things, medication is not the answer. These things were in them from Most High. Why would he do that? I don't know. Why was I on dialysis for 4.5 years from rare autoimmune virus called IgG4 nephropathy. I don't know. And I was taking extremely good care of myself. It just happened. It does. It's a challenge. It's something for you to learn. It's someone you need to meet. It's another path, another option, another opportunity for something. Now I have the chance to participate in the Olympics, which I plan on doing. Right? The transplant Olympics. I didn't even know that was such a thing. Okay? So let's take a different view, perhaps, at this situation in our children. Okay? And we also must look at the example that we are giving to our children. And again, I said yesterday, the parent who says their kid to do as I say and not as I do, you are the worst type of leader. You are the worst example. The worst. Okay? Imagine being an actual teacher. You are a teacher. In fact, you are the first teacher of your child. Like your parents were the first teacher of you. Hopefully you learn from their fuck-ups. Now you know what not to do, at least to some degree. So you've eliminated some things based on what your parents did. So hopefully you are a bit better parent than your parents were. Hopefully. Because they passed the baton on to you when you gave birth. Lady, and when you decide that you wanted to participate in the birthing process, man. Okay? So, with our children, and I have 2 daughters, and that relationship has been strained for those 2 relationships, for me, have been strained for many, many years. One, again, the first one, she decided when I was in Germany that she wanted to move in with my polygamous father and his stank-ass women. And so I wanted to pick the exact word to describe them for the moment. And so she got convinced and witchcraft, hoodooed, hoodwinked into joining their occult. So that's where she went, and that's where she is today. And that was in 1999 or something, right? When she sent me that letter. Okay. Telling me that she didn't want to come to Germany. With that, she has chosen to train up that daughter. Her name is Kimberly. She has chosen to train her up in a certain way. And by doing so, she has now given Kimberly a certain perspective on what a family looks like. I can tell you today, I have 16 siblings from that man, through that man, because of that man. I have 16 siblings. Okay? I am 49 today. Okay? I can tell you for a fact, most of them, they are in the streets, right? Some of them use sex as a weapon because that's what they grew up with, right? He was a sick-ass man, and so he messed with some of them, never with me. I think, narcissists, they know who the weak individuals are. They know who the weak kids are. They do. They know who the weak adults are. Lucifer, the devil, he knows. Jezebel, she knows, man. She knows if you're weak or not. Okay? And so some of mine are finding out now, including his side of the family, the sperm donor's side of the family, and her side of the family, right? Judy's side of the family. They're finding out that I am nothing like they thought I was, at least in most part for them. For him, he knew who I was from the very beginning, but he chose not to raise me up in the way that I should go. I had to figure that out on my own. He chose to live a life of just tragedy, just disaster, just that's all he left in his wake was just disaster. Some of those women have been with him for almost 30 years, for 30 years now, almost some of them for 30 years now. I mean, just, yeah, right? So he chose not to raise me up in the way that I should go. However, thankfully, again, I already felt like I had a close connection with the Father even as a kid. Okay? But the way that we train our children, or the teachings that we give our children and the wisdom, is we pay attention to who they are, right? And so as early as we can, we introduce them into things. We introduce them to things like meditating, okay? Right? And so when they become, the earlier they can become acquainted with these types of things, the better, okay? Man will make you feel like trash because, or religion will make you feel like trash because you're doing this or you're doing that. But let me tell you something. Again, I mentioned the other day, what do you think frankincense and myrrh was used for in Scripture? The incense, what do you think those were used for? Those were used to clear your energetic or spiritual spaces. That's what those things were used for. But if you tell a pastor today that I burn smudge, or I use sage, or I use Palo Santo to get rid of, evil energies and things like that, pastor, he's probably going to say, ooh, that sounds like witchcraft. Even though he's reading even though it's in the book that he preaches out of every single week. That is how ignorant man is in a low vibration when they have a book in their hand and they're not spiritually connected. That is what happens. They don't even understand the dumbness that's coming out of their own mouth. Okay? So, you have a child, right? Congratulations, right? You birthed a child, congratulations, man, congratulations. You are now a father, and you now have a tremendous responsibility, and it's more spiritual than it is physical. Okay? When Yeshua's parents got upset with him, Joseph got upset with him because they left him behind because he was supposed to be with the crew. He wasn't. He was back trying to teach when he was, 11, 13, 12, something like that, right? It wasn't time yet, right? He still had wisdom and training to do, right? His father, Joseph, he had been given to his father, Joseph. That's not just some man. He was uniquely chosen. Him and Mary were uniquely chosen. Mary is one of the ascended masters. Mother Mary is one of the ascended masters. He was selected just like she was selected. That's a tremendous responsibility, regardless of how the child arrives here. Was it an affair? Was it a one-night stand? Was it planned? Was it unplanned? Was it 15 years after your last child was born? You're like, oops, whatever, right? Whatever it is, that child from conception is a gift, and from conception, that is a living being. Okay? And the mother is the first love of that child. Boy or girl, the mother is. Because they have a 9-month-long connection that the men do not have. Right? And most men, unfortunately, do not take time to even spend time with the baby while the baby is maturing within the woman, right? But I encourage you, man, again, let down some of that wrong, misplaced ego, right? And talk to that daughter, talk to that son before they get here. Share music with them before they get here. Share conversation before they get here. Do those things because they can hear you, because it's energetic, it's spiritual, it's not physical. Okay? So I have a daughter. one daughter, who is the other one might be into music too, but I haven't seen her in I don't know how many years, so I have no idea what she's into other than culinary. So interesting, both of my daughters were heavily into culinary or are heavily into culinary. One wanted to be a chef, the other wanted to be the other wanted to be something in a chocolatier or a baker or something in the same. It was all associated with being a chef or being some type of professional cook or something like that. I don't know if Kim ever did that or pursued that. I have no idea. But I know my other daughter has not. And so she's, she decided to do something else, and that's okay. Again, I've had different jobs, so that's okay. You're finding yourself. That's all right. Okay, and they should be allowed to do that. Okay, so sit some building blocks in front of, and you don't have to literally do this, but sit some building blocks in front of your kid. Sit a computer in front of your kid, and then sit some sand in a sandbox in front of your kid. See which one they pick, and an instrument. See which one they pick. Right, and hang with them throughout that. Support them in that. Go to their recitals. Go to their practices. Oh, man. I met my second daughter when she was 11 years old. 11 or 12 years old. 11 or 12 years old. No. Yes. Maybe 12. I think 12. She is very much musically inclined. When I met her, one of the first gifts, I think the very first Christmas I got her, she wanted an acoustic guitar, and I got her a black acoustic guitar. It was what she wanted, and to my knowledge, she still has it. I know she had it for many, many years. That's what she wanted, and she played it, and she learned it. I mean, that's right. So she's musically inclined, and I don't know if her mother's side of the family's music, as far as musically inclined playing instruments thing, but I know my side of the family heavily. So the sperm donor plays 7 instruments or something. I've played the drums, I've played the baritone, electric bass guitar, and then I have another brother that plays the bass in a band, and they travel. They're a gospel band, travel around the country. So music is heavily artistic. Gene is strong in my family. Okay, so in training us up, he did not train any of us in the way that we should go. He had 16 chances. He didn't train 17. He didn't train any of us to go the way that we should go. You have 16 chances to do something right. As they say, you had one job. You had one job, right? And so he failed miserably this lifetime. I have no doubt about it. He has built up so much karma for himself this lifetime. There is no way. He probably needs extra lifetimes, right? He will need some extra opportunities to get rid of all that karma. He'll be back here. Okay? Because since 2014, he's been in the Michigan State Prison, and that's where he's going to physically say goodbye at, because he's serving 44 to 66 years. So he's definitely going to have to come back here and right a whole lot of wrongs. Right? And so training your child in the way that they should go, you're paying attention to what their desires are, because again, they arrive spiritually already mature. No one arrives here spiritually immature. It's just a matter of us marrying the physical with the natural, okay, and the 5D with the 3D. That's all that it is, and that's one and the same. That's all that is. Your physical man arrives immature. Your spiritual man is 100% truth, will never mislead you, and will never lie to you, will never cheat you, will never give you it's not a double negative. That's like I ain't got no. But That might be like quadruple negative. I don't know. But anyway, he, right, arrived. What is that called? Maybe the word will come to me. But anyway, paying attention to the way that our kids go, again, setting up those 4 different stations. And again, you don't have to physically. This might be a good idea, especially if they're still young enough. You know, if they're 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, do that. You know, if you have the resources to do that. Get a musical instrument, some sand, right? Shovel, bucket, some play blocks, and a computer, and see which one they stick with. And then enjoy that journey down that road. It might last a year, it might last a week, and they might turn around and say, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to be a whatever. Or I'm now my attention is on whatever. We do that in life. Allow them to do that as children. Okay? Because in life, right, if we're not complacent and we know who we are, we know when seasons have run its course, people have run its course, and it's time to change, whether it's job or relationships. So allow our children to see those things and to make those choices as children. Right? There's nothing wrong with sitting down and meditating with your child. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing. Or you pray with them, right? Or you would, probably, right? So, if you're going to beg Most High constantly for the same thing, why not also meditate and do it a little easier? Okay? So with our children, we do not own them. They are not our possession. Okay? They are lent to us. They are on loan from us. And at one point, they're going to become adults and they're going to leave our authority. And then, I don't care what you say, I'm still your daddy. Yeah, you bring that shit over here if you want to. I'm still your mama. Mm-hmm. Well, mama, you can't tell me to do a damn thing, so guess what? Right? So, parents, you have to brace yourself for transitioning your child into being one that you offer advice, but understand your child doesn't have to do your son or daughter, let me change that. Your son or daughter as an adult does not have to do anything you say, and do not dislike them or hate them for it. Allow them to experience their free will and making their own choices. And if they experience something that is a negative result, help them understand that or nurture them through that or whatever. Do not hold your child against you, because they chose not to follow your advice. They are out here and they are working out their own salvation, as scripture says, with fear and trembling, just like you are. Stop that. Do not force your son or daughter as an adult to take your advice. Stop telling them who they should marry. This is what I think, son. Again, this is what I think, daughter. Not, this is what you need to do. No, because I'm 25, I'm 30, I'm 35, I'm 20, I'm not in your house. I'm 17, I'm not in your house. I came to you for advice. Don't try to parent me. I'm not under your authority anymore. I'm just asking for advice. Okay, parents? Because then, when you try to order them around and you run them away, then what? Then you just ran your gift away, right? I have an aunt. She birthed 5 children, okay? And we're close in age. At least me and my brother, and I have a brother, Matthew, 13 months younger than me, who passed in 2021, okay? At the age of 45. And so we grew up, at least part way, like I said, I was with my mother in the projects until 11. At the age of 11, between my 5th and 6th grade year, I moved with him, okay, and a couple of cities away. And so, I just forgot my thought just like that. So, with that, I remember there were times when I would have games, okay? And because he was so caught up in his polygamous world and those women, stopping cat fights, having orgies or whatever was going on, right? Him just trying to manipulate and control their lives constantly, and acting just like a king, a taker. That's what a king is. I learned that from Steve at that church in Sanford. I learned that from Steve. A king is a taker. A father is a giver. Okay? And so, men, if you find yourself taking, what does it look like to take? It looks like to take when you are your teenager son's best friend and not their father. You're taking. Why? You're taking away your authority in their life at that time. And as a teenager, that is when men and women, males and females, need mature guidance the most. That is when they need the mature guidance the most. Is during those years. Because everything that's going on in the physical, hormones, whatever, right? During those years, peer pressure is a big part of that, right? High school tends to be a popularity contest. College isn't like that. Elementary school isn't like that. But high school seems to be a popularity contest. They're going to need you, mother and father, during those years. They're going to need you to be extra empathetic, extra understanding, extra sensitive, extra loving, and not in an overbearing way. Again, one of the toughest things I believe as a parent to do is to slowly let out the leash of your child as they slowly mature and get ready to fly the coop. That's one of the most challenging things to do, okay? Especially for the women, because them being the emotional beings that they are. Okay? And it would be good, again, this is why you have divine feminine and divine masculine energies. It is good if that woman can dig a little into her, or slide that spiritual needle a little more to the divine masculine side. And men, right? If you walk around talking about this is my house, you are not setting a good example for your child. This is our house. This is our house. I will never segregate myself from you, son. I will never segregate myself from you, daughter. This isn't my house. It's our house. Okay? The words that we speak are life and death. Right? And so, life or death. And so, with that, know that when you receive a child into this world from conception, that child is a gift. And with gifts, we are happy to receive them, we are happy to open them, and we are happy to enjoy those gifts. Enjoy the gifts, the seeds that you've been given, but understand you are not to be their lifelong dictator, and you are also not to ignore them. You are also not to shun them. Okay? And again, I'm talking about as children. As adults, you can do whatever you want to do, right? Because I don't talk to either one of mine, right? And have no reason to, right? If they're ready to repent, yeah. But I know they're not, so that doesn't hinder my life, not one bit, because I know who I am, right? So they are gifts. They are not our property, okay? If your son or daughter is birthed with something that man calls abnormal or unusual, or an illness or a disease or a medical diagnosis of something that man categorizes as there's something slightly wrong with them, right? Know that if they were birthed with it, you cannot fix it with a pill. You cannot do that. That healing can only occur through spiritual means, and that's only if the healing is meant to occur. Maybe the reason why that they have autism is because they're meant to change the world of autism and the way the world sees autism. Right? So maybe they're to be the first whatever to have autism in whatever position that they're in the world ultimately, or whatever place they hold in the world ultimately. Maybe they're the first to do that. Okay, maybe they're a groundbreaker. They're a pioneer of some sort. Okay, but man has us believing that our kids were diagnosed with this, so they're not. There's something wrong with them. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But a pill can't fix what's spiritually done. Okay. So our challenge this week, the 7-day challenge I posted, like I said a little while ago, is to do self-love. When you do that self-love, mothers, fathers, when you do that self-love, you cannot help but to turn around and reflect that love back to your son or daughter. And again, it all goes back to self-love. That is the cornerstone, like Yeshua is, of the church, and not the religious church. His church wasn't a religious church. His church didn't have walls. His church went from here to and fro. His church traveled. His church, yeah, that was his church, right? And you didn't have to show up every time he spoke, because he might be in Galilee today and in Damascus tomorrow. Can you make that trip? I don't even know how far those places are apart from each other. But if you can't make that trip, he's not condemning you because you can't be in service that week. You know what I'm saying? But men will have you feeling guilty. Do not let man trick you out of what you know, mothers and fathers, to be true within yourself and about your family. Okay? Men, again, I encourage you, soften yourselves a little bit. It is said that men generally get a little more loving as they get older. They get softer as they get older. Younger men, don't wait until you get there. Let me tell you something. Okay? If you believe that walking around acting like a badass instead of actually being a badass is better, you got the game twisted. Okay? Tupac sings about the game. Right? He talks about when your eyes are open and you see the game clearly. Okay? And you will understand it's just a game. Right? And so I don't like the thought of being a pawn, so I don't think of it like that. I think of it as this. This is a game, it's a puzzle, and I got to figure it out. Because I have the answers, but the answers are in a box, and that box can only be opened with my enlightenment. And that starts with loving myself unconditionally. So, if you want to reflect unconditional love to your children, and if you don't, please stop having children. Men and women, first love yourself. And we start that this week with that 7-day challenge. Okay? So thank you so much for tuning in. Wait, let me make sure there's nothing else. So what I was going to mention about my other daughter is when I met her, she was 12, and the challenge in those situations, and I know there are people who go through those things, other people that go through those situations as well. I was in the military for 8 years. Her mother didn't know where I was. She couldn't find me. She didn't know where I was stationed. She didn't know any of that. So she found me on Facebook ultimately. Thanks, Mark Zuckerberg. And so she, she told me about my daughter. Of course, I was ecstatic to see her, to meet her, because that's how I am. I've always wanted my first child to be a daughter. My first child is a daughter. I grew up thinking that that boys, because there were so many males in my family growing up, so the ratio of boys to girls for the 17 of us is like 11 to 6. There's this vast difference, twice as many boys as there are girls. And I always thought, in large part because of them, that boys were bad and blah, 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 blah. Right? I can say today. And I love Kimberly. Whatever she's doing and wherever she's at, I hope her life is beautiful and it's prosperous. If she's married or whatever, I hope her life is exactly what she wanted it to be. I really do. And I hope Alexis's life gets to where it needs to be, right? And they're both in their 20s and, you know, living their life, right? And so they're going through their own spiritual experience. I know for sure, I don't know how aware Kim is, but I know Alexis is, and I know that she is, I know she's dealing with whatever thing she needs to go through. And again, as an adult, I offer advice. She doesn't have to take it. She doesn't. And in fact, historically, she hasn't, because she sees her dad as a little unusual and a little strange. That's okay. The miracles in my life speak for itself. The fruit on my tree speak for itself. What do you want me to say? Again, she's an adult. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? I let her know I'm available. Right? Until she does something to damage that. Okay? So, right? Again, that's as an adult. Okay? Your children, you need to hold close to you, and you need to show unconditional love to your sons and daughters, even if they are adults. But your children that takes a very different approach than it does to your sons and daughters that are adults, okay? Anyway, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, thank you, subscribers. Thank you, new viewers or return viewers. You've been tuned into The Encourager, and the purpose here is to help us all become the very best versions of ourselves through understanding who we really truly are, and that is not the flesh. That's not the skin suit we wear. That is not it. Okay, you are a spiritual being. Okay, full of energy and energetic frequencies and available to communicate with and draw in animals and birds, or the birds are animals. All sorts. You could do all sorts of things, right? But you have to get away from man's laws and all of man's legalism and religiousness, right? Enjoy your day. It's Sunday. Enjoy your day. It's 11:52. I hope your day is going well already, whatever you're doing and wherever you find yourself. Okay? Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to sharing and speaking with you next time. Take care.